Hi, Junior with today's thought. And today's thought was inspired or is inspired by something that happened no more than a half hour ago, probably, and maybe even just a few minutes ago. I had a different thought in mind, and now I'm inspired with a new thought by what I just recently saw. And it was one of these, was a U.S. House representative. I think it was a Republican, but it doesn't really matter, Republican or Democrat, one of these moderates, one of these moderate Congress people saying, or Congress critters saying, or asking, or pleading, or begging, why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just compromise? And the reason why we can't is because there is a stark, imagine Muhammad compromising with the Pope. I mean, could you have imagined that? Or what I'm going to talk about today, or the example I'm going to use, comes from Abraham Lincoln, when the country was very divided over slavery. We had the North was free, and the South was a slave, and or put it another way, the North was Republican and the South was Democrat. Sorry, Democrats, but that's the way it is. To end slavery, we Republicans had to kill about 300,000. I think it was Democrats. Hopefully we won't have to do that again. But the point I'm getting at is that some differences are unbridgeable, and I'm going to give you the famous Lincoln quote. Now, I'm not equating, just to be sure, all my liberal friends, I'm not equating the division today with slavery. What I am comparing it to is a situation where the country is evenly divided. Now, there was a time during the Roosevelt era, well, before that, the country was overwhelmingly Republican. In fact, most black people voted for Republicans, and that changed after Roosevelt when the country became overwhelmingly Democrat, and so much so that there were there've been a few times. One was just very recently, the Obama administration, where Senate Democrats had a 60 seat filibuster-proof majority, where they could really enact any, because they had the House and they had the presidency, they could enact actually pretty much anything they wanted if all the Democrats stuck together. But now we see the country is right now evenly divided, and it's evenly divided, I believe, between two completely incompatible philosophies. You have the liberal philosophy and the conservative philosophy. You now have what you're seeing. They're basically socialists. They're Marxists and socialists, and then we believe conservatives are individualists and free marketers. We all know the differences. The point is that the 2 points, they are completely incompatible. If we now are, last I heard, $34 trillion debt, and that doesn't include the entitlements such as Social Security and Medicare. You include all that, and it's just, we can't just keep adding to that. And the reason we're having to is because Republicans have never in my lifetime, at least, had a filibuster-proof Senate. So Democrats have always been in a position to stop Republicans from enacting their policies, and I hope that's going to change. But right now, the problem is that the spending, I believe, it's just unsustainable. What they're doing to the military, Biden's foreign policy, the idea that the Democrats are against borders. They want some of them are starting to come around, I guess, but this Biden administration, they completely threw open the borders. And the point, either you want the borders open or you want them closed. Put it that way. Either you want people to have to come into the country legally, or you're fine with him coming in illegally. There's no middle ground to say, well, we'll let this many come in illegally. There's no compromise there, and that's the point I want to get to. And we're going to start out with Lincoln's going to make the point, and then I'm going to elaborate on it. So we all know this quote, but I'm going to put it up. Read along with me. This was the run-up to the Civil War, and here it is. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe, this is Lincoln, I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided. It will become all one thing or all the other. Fortunately, it came out all free. But the point was that the House was divided, and as Lincoln said then, today I say, I don't expect the House to fall, but the country is going to be one thing or the other. It's going to either be conservative or it's going to be liberal. It's going to be free market or it's going to be socialist. There's no possibility of compromise. And the reason that we have this division and the problem, the reason why the moderates plea, why can't we just work together, is because, as I said, you have two philosophies that are completely incompatible. That's number one. And the main problem is that the country is evenly divided. If it were divided, if it was majority, if it were all one thing or all the other, as Lincoln said, then we wouldn't be having this problem. We didn't have those early in the 20th century. Then Democrats, Roosevelt, FDR came to power, and then it was pretty much all the other thing. Now it's not all one or all the other, and it's up to the American people. That's what this is. I don't understand why Republicans don't make this argument. This is the argument that the country, it has to be one thing or the other, and the country, the people, believe it or not, the Democrats find this hard. It's a hard concept for them, but the country's not run by the president or the Senate or the House. It's run by us, the American people. We choose our leaders, and unfortunately, we're evenly divided regarding which leaders we pick, and this division will not be solved. The sooner the better, but it will not be solved until the American people make up their minds. Either give the Democrats, as they've had in the past, the White House, a majority in the House of Representatives, and a filibuster-proof Senate. Do that again, or you have to give the Republicans the White House, the House of Representatives, and a filibuster, what I've never seen in my lifetime experience, and a filibuster-proof Republican majority in the Senate. In other words, enable one side or the other to govern as they want to govern, and until the American people make up their minds, then this is the situation we're in. We're a house divided, and just have to accept it. We are a house divided, but a house divided cannot stand. As Lincoln said, we will eventually be one thing or the other thing. And that's my thought for today, and Lincoln's thought too, channeled through me. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. If you could share this video with anyone who would benefit from it, that would really be great too. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.